Okay, hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and I am currently behind the wheel of the Toyota bZ4X. Now, this is all very familiar because not too long ago I had a Subaru Solterra press loan for the week. So this is all very, very, very familiar. And that's because the Solterra is based off this, the bZ4X. And everything feels very similar as well in terms of the feel of the steering and the drivetrain and the brakes and everything like that. However, there are some differences with the bZ4X and the Solterra because the Solterra only comes with all-wheel drive, whereas this bZ4X comes as both front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, this one is the front-wheel drive version, so I haven't actually driven this power plant yet, and it feels very similar to the Subaru. Now, there are a couple of differences also around power that you get in each of these models. So brake horsepower will either be 204 PS or 218 PS, so tiny little difference. Where there's a bit more of a difference is on torque. So the lower power version gets 265 Newton meters of torque and the higher power version gets 333 Newton meters of torque. And what that translates to is a difference in 0 to 60 of either 7.5 seconds or 6.9 seconds. Top speed remains unchanged. It's 100 miles an hour basically on the nose. Now, what I will say is that this, and I mentioned this when I drove the Subaru as well, is when you're driving it, it feels not as heavy as rivals do. So this car weighs just over 2 tons, which sounds like a lot, 2,023 kilograms. But actually, when you look at the competition, it's 100 or so kilograms lighter than those cars, which is quite considerable. Which is why, although the overall power is slightly down on similarly priced vehicles, it's not that much slower in terms of 0 to 60. So the battery in this is 71.4 kilowatt hours. That is exactly the same as the Solterra as well. And prices start from around 46,000 and go all the way up to nearly 52,000 and options, depending on what you get. And like the Subaru, this has all of the safety monitoring systems. So I've got a camera and a sensor looking at me here to determine if I'm looking at the road properly. So occasionally it is popping up a warning because if I look across at you at the camera, then it has a bit of a fit. But if you haven't seen the Solterra review, then here's basically what you need to know about the interior of this car. It's got a similar steering wheel and binnacle setup to Peugeot in that the screen, the display with your speed and all of your important information is set above the top of the steering wheel, and the steering wheel is a little bit smaller than normal. I think that this is a better system than the one in the Peugeot, or in Peugeots generally, because I can never seem to get it in the right place, and I think that their steering wheel is too small, really. This, as I said, I lived with it for a week in Subaru form, and I thought it was absolutely fine. The thing that I will mention is that it's extremely comfortable. The seats are very comfortable. The suspension is very soft, but not so soft that it's wallowy. And the interior is also unlike any other Toyota product, basically. This is their first full from the ground up EV. So they've played to those strengths, I think, a little bit. You've got a massive screen in the middle, and thankfully not everything is controlled through it. So you do have physical buttons here for changing the temperature and haptic buttons for turning on things like the heated seats or the heated steering wheel. And then you have a phone charger here. This is all exactly the same. This material here, this is all exactly the same in the Subaru. The only difference, as far as I can see, is that there is a Toyota badge here. And that's not a bad thing, because I think that while this interior is maybe not quite as nice feeling as other cars, thinking Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, it's certainly more interesting. It's a bit wacky, and I like that. I like that they've done something different than just the standard grey and black fest that you get in every other car. This is still grey and black, but at least it's interesting. So now we've slowed down because we're going to go through a village. So let's talk about range, because this has a range of between 286 and 317 miles, depending on which version you go for, the front wheel drive or the all wheel drive. The front wheel drive is the most efficient, but it is still slightly down on its rivals, because most of them now are quoting figures over the 300 mile mark in their all wheel drive versions, which this isn't. So that's something to be considered. This also doesn't seem to be quite as efficient in how it delivers the electricity. You'll get sort of in the high threes per kilowatts per mile, but I know for a fact that the Ioniq 5 will do 4.5 miles per kilowatt. So slightly down in the battery technology part, I guess, but not so much that it would stop you from buying one. I also know that Toyota are going to be leading in this field in probably 5 years' time, 2028. They're on the cusp of cracking the solid-state battery pack, and when they do that, that will be a game changer. We've already seen that Toyota and Lexus have committed to about 30 different electric concept cars that came out last year, so electric is Toyota's future. I know they're also working on hydrogen, and they're doing good things there as well with the Mirai, but this is a first attempt, and it's a good first attempt, but rivals have been doing it longer and therefore have that little extra push. It's an incredibly relaxing car to drive as well. It's, as I said, it's very soft and smooth. Power delivery isn't like jerky. You can, if you put it in sport mode, get it to push you back into your seat, but it's more of a gradual sort of surge rather than a oof. I like that. I like that it's not trying to be sporty. The brief clearly for this car was, we just want an electric SUV. We don't want it to be the best handling or the fastest, but we would like it to have those things that Toyota customers like: comfort, quiet, those things it does really well. And obviously, it being a Toyota, it also is going to come with that reliability element as well, and you can get 10-year warranties on this if you continue to have it serviced at Toyota dealerships throughout that time. It's very compelling from that point of view. I know, because I've sat in the back of it and done a full review of the Solterra, that there's plenty of room in the back. It is a large vehicle. It's not intimidating though. It feels maybe wider than it is because of how the dashboard is set up, but it's actually not as wide as rivals like the EV6 or the Ioniq 5. But it definitely feels as spacious as those cars. Yeah, you can definitely tell that this one is front wheel drive as opposed to all wheel drive. The front wheels are scrabbling about. It's a damp day today, it's wet, so that's to be expected, but the all wheel drive Subaru version of this that I drove was, you know, it was almost impossible to get that car to brake traction. But anyway, that's probably enough rambling on from me, so thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a like. Comment down below, let me know what you think of the bZ4X. Make sure to also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a channel member, or you can buy some merch, which I am currently sporting today. But again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.